Located within the Mashonaland East province of Zimbabwe lies a small town by the name of Murewa. Home to less than 10,000 people, Murewa is known as a rich environment. The town houses several farmers who specialize in farming different kinds of vegetables, maize, and more. Murewa is also home to the Mbende Jerusalema dance, which is known and revered amongst the Zezuru Shona tribe. However, despite the culture this town holds, the district isn't without its faults. Unfortunately for Zimbabweans, it was reported that 40% of the murders that occurred within 2023 were ritual killings. Of the 3,600 cases reported last year, 1,440 were ritual killings. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what ritual killings are, this is when a human is killed and his or her body parts are used as a sacrifice by witch doctors to perform favors for people. These favors can include promises of financial wealth, better health, curing of certain diseases such as HIV and AIDS, and more. With ritual killings, some body parts are worth more than others. For example, the genitalia, the head, internal organs such as the heart, etc., are worth more than the ears, fingers, and other body parts. Today's case involves three parties: 7-year-old Tapiwa Makore Jr., 60-year-old Tapiwa Makore Sr., and 40-year-old Tafadzwa Shamba. Now, Tapiwa Makore Jr. was Tapiwa Makore Sr.'s nephew. So for the purpose of this case and to avoid confusion, we'll refer to the little boy as Tapiwa Jr. Born in Murewa, Tapiwa Jr. was born to parents Linda Munyori and Munyaradzi Makore. He was 7 years old and doing his grade 1 studies at Nyamutumba Primary School. He was described as an intelligent and obedient child by his teachers. He grew up living in close proximity to his uncle Tapiwa Sr., who lived close by. Tapiwa Sr. was a farmer who had one wife and 3 children. He was the elder brother to Tapiwa Jr.'s father. At the time of this murder, he was 60 years old. Now, it's no secret that the general Zimbabwean population is going through hard times economically. Many are struggling financially and crime rates are skyrocketing. 40-year-old Tafadzwa Shamba was no exemption to the hardships of Zimbabwe. Disclaimer: not much is known about Tafadzwa's life up until the murder, but upon research, this is what I found, and I will link the sources of the information in the description box below. Having grown up Chinyani village, which is within Murewa, Tafadzwa Shamba attended Kwenda High School where he wrote his O-levels but didn't pursue his education beyond this point. There were speculations of him not pursuing his education further due to his love for alcohol and later drugs. Shortly after dropping out of school, he struggled to get formal employment because of his addictions. Tragedy struck when his father passed away when he was 25 and his mother followed shortly after that. Tafadzwa spiraled deeper into his addiction, going on to sell everything his parents had owned after their passing. Reports say he sold an Isuzu truck, farm animals, roofing tiles, water pumps, and more to sustain his addiction lifestyle. It is reported that during this time he also got married and had 2 children, although I couldn't find much concrete evidence of this. Eventually, however, he found himself being employed by Tapiwa Sr. as an extra set of hands on the farm. At some point in time, Tafadzwa Sr. got a monetary offer for organs needed for a ritual killing. He believed that this could potentially boost his business. It is then when he roped in Tafadzwa Shamba as his accomplice and they started planning their murder. On the fateful day of Tafadzwa Jr.'s life, he was lured to his uncle's farm in the late afternoon around 5 p.m. by a boy who was allegedly bribed to lure him there. Once at the farm, he met Tafadzwa Shamba, who invited him into a room and gave him some food and water. Then later on gave him an alcoholic beverage which contained a lot of sugar to mask the drink's bitterness. The boy soon succumbed to the alcohol's effects and eventually drifted off to sleep. He was then locked into a room until his uncle, Tapiwa Sr., came back to the farm. At the same time, Tafadzwa then returned to the local bars and had a drink with some of the acquaintances before returning in the evening to check on the young boy. As the day wore on and it got later, Tapiwa Jr.'s mother noticed that he hadn't come home, and so a search for the little boy started. Everyone, including Tapiwa Sr., his uncle, went out looking for the young boy despite knowing that he had him. The search commenced for a couple of hours well into the night before people decided to continue searching in the morning. As soon as the search had died down at around 12 a.m., Tapiwa Sr. went back to his farm where he was met by Tafadzwa Shamba. Now, if you're not Zimbabwe or African, you're probably wondering why he was out unsupervised during the day and why no one came looking for him sooner. But it's a common thing to wake up and go out and spend the day out with your friends in Zimbabwe. The approach of it takes a village to raise a child is taken. Therefore, most kids are always being watched by the surrounding adults. So if they mess about, someone from the village will reprimand them because they're seen as a parent, although not parental or maternal. Now, Tapiwa Sr. instructed Tafadzwa Shamba to take the sleeping boy from the room. Together they walked up a nearby mountainside, Tapiwa Sr. lugging a sack of knives and plastics, while Tafadzwa Shamba carried the boy in a towel slung over his shoulders behind his neck. After walking a distance onto the mountainside, Tafadzwa spread out some plastic sheets onto the ground and proceeded to put the boy down, where he pinned him down with using his arms and his knees. Meanwhile, Tapiwa Sr. was watching whilst holding a torch towards the young boy and Tafadzwa. Tafadzwa then put his hands around the young boy's neck, where he started trying to free himself but was overpowered. Shortly after, Tafadzwa swiftly cut off his head, then proceeded to dismember the rest of his body and put the different body parts into sacks being held by Tapiwa Sr. After killing and dismembering the young boy, they then took the boy's body parts and made their way back to the farmhouse. On their way back, they dumped the boy's arms and legs near a gravesite and the torso somewhere along the mountainside. Later on in the morning, at around 4 a.m., Tafadzwa Shamba woke up and went back to the murder scene, where he cleaned up the residual blood left and burned the ground surrounding the area, before once again returning to the farmhouse. Unaware to the pair, however, was the realization from a neighbor that there were human remains lying scattered in his yard. His dogs had found the body parts near the gravesite and had started nibbling at them before dragging them to the farm. Knowing that the young boy was missing, the neighbor then reported his findings to those around him and made a police report. The police then started a thorough investigation where they scoured all the surrounding houses before making a breakthrough at Tapiwa Sr.'s house. There, the police found some blood-soaked clothes belonging to the young boy. They were promptly arrested and taken in for investigations. Shortly after, Tafadzwa Shamba immediately confessed at first. However, he later tried to recant his statement, but this was denied. After further investigations and confessions from Tafadzwa Shamba, the duo were then sentenced to death by Judge Justice Mutevezi. Tafadzwa Shamba was charged with murder, whilst Tafadzwa Sr. was charged as an accomplice. He was convicted based off circumstantial evidence. A part of the evidence handed in showed that this murder was premeditated and that plans to murder Tapiwa Jr. had been set in place weeks prior. Following the aftermath, Tapiwa Jr.'s parents were devastated. They have since relocated from Murewa to Harare due to rising family tensions, as some family members believe that Tapiwa Sr. is innocent. They have also lost trust in the surrounding community around them. Their move was also fueled by them wanting to escape a place that now holds bad memories. Tapiwa Jr.'s mother stated that she understands that the death penalty is what the two murderers deserved, but she wished that they could feel the physical pain her son felt when he was murdered. Disclaimer. I think it's worth noting that there were two other people who I didn't mention in this case that were under investigation but were later released due to insufficient evidence. These two are Thanks Makore and Mount Hunzarira. My aim is to report on factual evidence and not speculatory claims that aren't true by law. So I've left the links to their speculated involvements down in the description box below. Well, folks, that's it for today. What do you believe? Do you believe Tapiwa Sr. is guilty? Do you think the duo deserved the death sentence? Or only Tafadzwa, who committed the murder, deserves the death penalty alone? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next one.